My name is Jack Rowland. I've been driving freight for 16 years. Reefer trailers, dry vans, livestock, hazmat. If it moves by truck, I've hauled it. I've crossed every state line except Alaska and Hawaii. I've slept in rest stops that smelled like piss and desperation. I've watched the sun rise through desert dust and set behind Appalachian fog. Truckers don't scare easy. You see too much. Dead deer, dead people, wrecks that still steam, skid marks that run for half a mile and end in twisted metal. You learn to keep your eyes forward. But the night I drove Highway 87 through northern Montana changed that. Because something was waiting on that road. And it had been waiting a long time. The job came in late. Last-minute refrigerated run from Spokane to Minot. Medical supplies. Needed by morning. No problem. The problem was the route. Highway 87 runs through a stretch of forest so empty it doesn't even have cell service. No gas, no towns, no lights. Just trees and snow and old mountain roads carved into permafrost. They call it the Black Road. Dispatch didn't like sending drivers that way at night. I didn't care. Night driving paid better. When you've been driving as long as I have, darkness feels normal. Peaceful, even. Less traffic. Less idiots. I rolled out at 6:40 p.m. By the time I crossed into Montana, the sky had turned iron gray and the snow started falling sideways. The radio faded to static. That's when the quiet set in. The kind of quiet that feels like something's listening. There's a checkpoint at the start of Highway 87. One lane, one shack, one bored state trooper. He leaned into my window and checked my logbook. Then he looked at my route. His jaw tightened. "You running 87 tonight?" "Yes, sir." He hesitated, then said quietly, "Don't stop for anyone." I laughed. "You expecting hitchhikers in a blizzard?" He didn't smile. "If you see something on the road," he said, "you keep driving." I asked what he meant. He shook his head and handed back my paperwork. "Just make it to the other side." Highway 87 doesn't feel like a real road. It's narrow, uneven, no shoulder, no reflectors, no guardrails. Just blacktop carved between towering pine trees that block out the moon. The snow made everything glow faint blue. My headlights cut tunnels through the darkness. Every mile marker felt like passing a gravestone. Mile 97, mile 98, mile 99. The forest leaned closer. The engine hummed like it was nervous. That's when I saw her. She stood on the shoulder. No coat, no boots, no car. Just a thin white dress whipping in the wind. Her hair was long and tangled, plastered to her face by snow. She raised one hand, not waving, just holding it up, like she was asking me to stop. I slowed without thinking. Then my brain caught up. No footprints, no tire tracks, just untouched snow. I rolled my window down an inch. Cold air knifed into the cab. "You okay, miss?" She lifted her head. Her lips were blue. Her eyes were glassy. "I need help," she said. Her voice barely carried over the wind. I glanced at the mirror. No cars behind me, no headlights ahead. Just forest. "What happened to your car?" She pointed behind her, into the trees. "He took it." Something about the way she said it made my skin crawl. "Who?" She didn't answer. I should have driven away. I didn't. I opened the passenger door. She climbed in without a word. Her body shook violently. She smelled like snow and iron. I handed her my jacket. She stared at it, then at me, then whispered, He won't like that. Who won't? She shook her head. Her hands were trembling so badly they rattled against the dashboard. We pulled back onto the road. The snow swallowed her footprints instantly. We drove for a while. The heater blasted. She didn't warm up. I tried small talk. Nothing. She stared straight ahead, eyes unblinking. Finally, I asked her name. She hesitated, then said, "Emily." I asked where she was headed. She said, "Home." I asked where home was. She said, "Not far." I checked the mirror. Something moved in the trees, just for a second. I told myself it was a deer. 10 minutes passed. Then I noticed something strange. The radio had gone silent. Not static, not dead. Just nothing. Like the sound had been sucked out of the cab. The road lights vanished. The snow stopped falling. The world beyond my headlights turned pitch black. I checked the dashboard. Everything was normal, but the air felt heavy. I asked Emily if she was okay. She turned to me. Her eyes were black, not dark, not shadowed. Black, like oil. "No," she said. "She isn't." My hands tightened on the wheel. "What are you talking about?" Her mouth trembled. "I'm not the first." The truck slowed. I hadn't touched the brake. The engine started coughing. The headlights flickered. Emily grabbed my arm. Her fingers were ice. "He's here." I looked in the mirror. Something tall stood in the road behind us. Too tall. Its shape bled into the darkness. 2 red points burned where its eyes should be. The engine died. The cab went dark. We were blind, silent, still. I heard breathing, slow, wet, coming from the sleeper. Emily squeezed my arm so hard I felt bruises forming. "Don't turn around," she whispered. The breathing moved closer. The air smelled rotten, like old meat. The cab door creaked. Something climbed in. The suspension dipped. A weight settled behind me. Then a voice spoke. In my voice. "Jack." The lights snapped back on. The engine roared to life. I slammed the gas. The truck surged forward. I looked at the passenger seat. It was empty. The door hung open, snow blowing inside. No footprints. No woman. No jacket. The mirror was clear. The road was empty. But the seat was wet. Like something had melted there. I didn't stop until the checkpoint on the other side. The officer took one look at my face and swore. "You picked her up, didn't you?" I couldn't speak. He pulled a file from his desk, opened it, turned it toward me. A photo slid out. A crashed sedan, wrapped around a pine tree. A girl in a white dress zipped into a body bag. Her name was Emily Carter. She froze to death 3 years ago, at mile marker 113. The officer looked at me. "Most drivers don't make it this far." I quit long-haul trucking a month later. I sold my rig. I moved south. But the road followed me. Sometimes I wake up and smell snow. Sometimes I hear breathing behind me. And sometimes, when I pass a dark stretch of highway, I see someone standing on the shoulder, waiting, holding up her hand. I tried to forget. That's what you're supposed to do when something doesn't make sense. You bury it. You move on. You tell yourself exhaustion did it, stress, the cold, the dark. But memory doesn't work that way. Memory is a road. Once you drive it, it's always there. I sold my truck 3 weeks after Montana, packed everything I owned into a rented U-Haul and drove south to Arizona. Dry air, sun, flat land, the kind of place where nothing hides. I rented a small house outside Flagstaff. Quiet street, no trees close to the windows, no forest, no long, empty roads. I took a warehouse job. Day shift, forklifts, pallets, paperwork. Normal. But at night, I dreamed of snow. In the dream, I'm driving. The road never ends. The trees bend inward like ribs. My headlights are weak, barely pushing back the dark. Then I see her. Always the same. White dress, bare feet, holding up her hand. But this time when I stop, she doesn't come alone. There are others standing behind her. Men, women, children. All pale, all watching, all waiting for a ride. And behind them, towering above the trees, something taller than the forest. Something wearing my face. I wake up choking, sweat-soaked, the smell of snow in my nose. I started drinking, just a little at first, a beer to fall asleep, a shot when the dreams got bad. Didn't help. The dreams got worse. So I started digging. Truckers talk, always have. You sit long enough at any truck stop, you'll hear stories that don't make the news. Ghost roads, missing drivers, phantom wrecks that appear and disappear, black dogs that chase rigs at 80 miles an hour. I went online, forums, message boards, old Facebook groups for long-haul drivers. I searched Highway 87 Montana mile marker 113 white dress hitchhiker Black Road. The posts went back decades.
One post was from 2009. Anyone else see the girl on 87? White dress, no shoes, shows up in winter storms. My buddy picked her up and never made it out. Another from 2014. Avoid Black Road. They don't tell you about the missing drivers, the ones that vanish without wrecks. A third from 2018. State troopers warn you not to stop. That should tell you everything. Then I found the name, Emily Carter. She wasn't the first. The earliest record I found was from 1973, a local paper from a town that doesn't exist anymore. Truck driver missing on mountain route. No wreckage, no body, no witnesses. The driver's name was Samuel Reed. The article mentioned a strange detail. His rig was found parked on the shoulder at mile marker 113. Engine running. Door open, cab empty, no footprints. The trailer was full. The driver was gone. Over the next 30 years, 14 more drivers vanished on that road. Same pattern, night runs, winter storms. Last radio transmission always cut off mid-sentence. Rigs found abandoned. No signs of struggle, no bodies, no explanation. The locals stopped calling it accidents. They called it the taking. I contacted a retired state trooper named Harris. He'd worked the checkpoint for 12 years. I told him who I was, told him what I saw. There was a long pause on the phone, then he said, "You shouldn't be calling about that." I asked why. "Because it doesn't forget you. We met anyway." Harris lived in a small town outside Billings. Old ranch house, barbed wire fence, windmills that creaked all night. He was in his 70s, heavy, slow. Eyes that had seen too much. We sat at his kitchen table. He poured whiskey, didn't offer me any. "You picked her up," he said. I nodded. He closed his eyes. "She never rides alone." Harris told me the story they don't write down. In 1958, before Highway 87 was paved, the road was just a logging trail. A family lived deep in the forest, the Carters. They had a daughter, Emily. When the logging companies came, the Carters refused to sell. They wanted the land. The company wanted the road. One winter night, a fire tore through the house. Emily ran. Her parents burned. She ran into the forest. She got lost. They found her 3 days later. Frozen, still standing, eyes open, reaching toward the road. The road was built anyway, right over the trail she died on. And that's when the disappearances started. At first it was just hitchhikers, then loggers, then drivers. The forest didn't care who it took, it just wanted travelers. I asked Harris about the shadow, the thing with red eyes. His face darkened. That's not her. What is it? He hesitated, then said, It wears the ones it takes. Harris showed me photos, missing drivers, dozens of them. Men I'd seen at truck stops, men I'd waved at on the highway. Men who vanished into the trees. Then he showed me something else. Security footage. From a roadside camera. A rig slowing, stopping. A woman in a white dress climbing in. The truck driving off. Then the camera zoomed. Behind the cab. A tall shape stepping out of the trees, watching, smiling. I asked him why they kept the road open. He laughed. You ever try closing a supply route in winter? People would die. So you just let it happen? We warn who we can. He looked at me. But it doesn't always take no for an answer. That night I stayed in a motel. I dreamed of the forest, trees bending inward, branches twisting into hands, roots crawling across the road, and something walking between them, wearing my face. In the morning, Harris called me. His voice was shaking. Check the news. A driver went missing overnight. Highway 87, mile marker 113. The article was short. Reefer trailer, medical supplies, last contact at 1:14 a.m. Truck found abandoned. Door open, engine cold. No driver. The name hit me like a punch. Daniel Rook, I knew him. We'd eaten breakfast together in Idaho. I'd warned him about that road. He laughed. Said ghosts don't pay the bills. That's when I understood. It wasn't random. It wasn't just the road. It was hunting. And it remembered me. I packed my bags. I drove north, back toward Montana, back toward the forest. Because I knew one thing. The Black Road doesn't let witnesses live. It only lets them run. For a while. The closer I got, the worse the dreams became. I started seeing her in daylight, in reflections, in store windows, standing behind me, waiting. And sometimes, when I closed my eyes, when I felt fingers on my shoulders. When I crossed the Montana state line, my phone lost signal. The sky turned gray, snow started falling, and every mile marker felt like a countdown. Snow started falling the moment I crossed back into Montana. Not gentle flakes. Heavy wet clumps that smeared across my windshield and swallowed the road. It felt like the sky itself was trying to erase my tracks. I rented a pickup in Billings. Didn't want to drive a rig again. Didn't want to feel the weight of a trailer behind me. Didn't want to hear breathing from the sleeper. The gas station clerk stared when I asked about Highway 87. You heading that way at night? She asked. No. She didn't look convinced. I checked into a roadside motel outside the forest. Same one Harris had recommended. Low ceilings, yellow lights, windows bolted shut. The owner handed me the key without smiling. You're here about the road, she said. I froze. She tapped the guest book. People only come here for one reason. Her name was Margaret. Her family had lived here since the logging days. Her grandfather helped build the highway. He was also one of the first to disappear. He went to check on the work crew, she said. Never came home. I asked if she knew what lived in the forest. She said, we don't call it that. What do you call it? She hesitated, then whispered, the keeper. That night I followed her into the basement. Behind a false wall was a locked door. Inside, shelves of notebooks, names, dates, photographs, dozens of missing drivers, some going back to the 60s, some older, much older. There were disappearances before the road, Margaret said. Before the logging, before the settlers. She pulled out a brittle leather journal. The writing was shaky. The ink faded. The date, 1891. The journal belonged to a missionary, a man sent to convert the native tribes. He wrote about a forest spirit, an ancient thing that lived beneath the roots. It demanded travelers. It demanded motion. It demanded roads. The tribes built paths to feed it. When the settlers came, they built highways. The keeper grew stronger. I asked about Emily. Margaret closed the book. She was chosen. For what? To be the face. There was a cult. There always is. Locals who believed the forest protected them in exchange for offerings. They left food, animals, sometimes people. When the road came, the offerings increased. Truckers were easy. No families nearby. No witnesses. And if one refused, the keeper learned their face. The cult called themselves the Watchers of the Black Road. They maintained the trails. They moved the bodies. They erased evidence. They left Emily where she could be seen. A lure, a promise, a warning. Margaret took me into the forest, past the tree line, past the point where GPS died, past the sound of birds. The air changed. It smelled old, wet, rotten. The trees leaned inward, their roots twisted across the ground like veins. We followed a trail worn into the dirt, not by animals, by feet, hundreds of them. We reached a clearing. In the center stood a stone altar. Carved faces covered it. Men, women, children. Some looked peaceful, some screamed. Behind the altar, a hole yawned in the earth. A pit lined with bones, truckers' boots, hard hats, dog tags, rings, watches, wallets. I saw a CDL badge with Daniel Rook's name. I dropped to my knees. The ground vibrated. The forest went silent. Margaret grabbed my arm. "He knows you're here." The shadows moved. Something rose from the pit, tall, too tall. Its body twisted like smoke. Faces rippled across its skin. Men I recognized, men I'd known. Their mouths opened in silent screams, then one face settled. Mine. I ran. Branches tore at my clothes, roots grabbed my boots, the forest chased me. I burst into the clearing. Margaret was gone. The altar cracked. The pit widened. The keeper stepped out. Its red eyes burned. It spoke in 100 voices, in my voice. "You came back." I woke up in the motel room. Margaret sitting beside the bed, her face gray. "You were gone 3 hours," she said. "I thought it took you." I told her what I saw. She nodded. "That means it marked you." I asked how to stop it. She said, "You don't. You feed it." "With what?" She looked at me. "With the road." The cult was still active. Truckers, loggers, hunters, people who benefited from the highway. They kept it open. They kept the forest fed. They met once a year. Winter solstice, at the altar. Margaret said, "It needs a witness every cycle. Someone who survives. Someone who remembers. Someone it can follow." I felt cold. I knew what she meant. That night, the dream stopped. Instead, I heard knocking. On the walls, on the ceiling, on the floor, like fingers testing a coffin. I opened the bathroom mirror. My reflection smiled. I wasn't smiling. I tried to leave. The truck wouldn't start. The motel phone rang, static, then breathing, then my voice saying, "You can't leave yet." Margaret packed supplies, maps, flares, gas, a revolver. "We ended at the source," she said. "What if we can't?" She chambered around. "Then we make it choke."
At dawn, we drove toward the forest. The road waited. The trees leaned closer. Mile markers counted down. 113, 114, 115. And the snow began to fall. The forest doesn't wake. It waits. That's what Margaret told me as we drove toward mile marker 113. The snow was falling again. Thick, Heavy, silent. The kind that swallows sound and turns the world into a blank page. The road ahead looked freshly paved. Too smooth, too perfect, like it wanted to be driven. The radio crackled once, then my voice came through. "Almost home, Jack." I shut it off. Margaret checked her watch. "Solstice is tonight." The longest night of the year. The cult would already be gathering. Truckers would be driving. The forest would be hungry. She handed me a map, hand-drawn, trails marked in red, the altar circled in black. "This is where it feeds." "And Emily?" I asked. Margaret's jaw tightened. "She's not dead." The cult didn't worship the keeper. They worked for it. They kept the road open. They made sure the trucks kept coming. They staged wrecks. They erased footage. They blamed weather. They blamed fatigue. They blamed anything except the forest. And Emily? Emily was its mouth. We parked the pickup behind a stand of trees. The forest was wrong. No birds, no wind, no insects. Just the sound of snow falling on dead leaves. Margaret loaded the revolver. "You run when I say run." "What about you?" She smiled. "My family built this road. I owe it a body." The clearing was lit by torches. A dozen men stood around the altar. Some wore trucker jackets. Some wore police uniforms. One wore a DOT vest. All of them watched the pit. The hole was wider now. Deeper. Breathing. Emily stood at the altar. White dress, bare feet. No footprints. Her eyes were black, but her face was wet with tears. She wasn't possessed. She was trapped. Bound to the road. Bound to the forest. Bound to the hunger beneath it. The cult leader raised his hands. "The keeper remembers." The forest groaned. Roots shifted. Trees bent. The pit opened. The smell hit me. Rot. Oil. Blood. Cold metal. Margaret stepped into the clearing, gun raised. "You fed it long enough." The cult turned. Hands went to belts. The leader smiled. "You brought the witness back." He pointed at me. "The marked one." The ground shook. The pit vomited smoke. The keeper rose. Faces rolled across its body. Truckers, loggers, hitchhikers, children. Emily screamed. Her scream echoed through every face it wore. Margaret fired. The bullet vanished into the smoke. The keeper laughed. In my voice. In Daniel's voice. In Harris's voice. "You built the road for me." The cult knelt. They pressed their foreheads to the dirt. The keeper reached for Emily. She sobbed. "Please. I'm tired." I ran, straight for the altar. The cult shouted. Margaret fired again. A man dropped. The keeper turned. Its face became mine. Its mouth opened. And the forest screamed. I grabbed Emily. Her skin burned like ice. She looked at me. Her eyes were human for the first time. "You have to drive it." "What?" "The road. You have to finish it." The cult rushed us. Margaret tackled one. I dragged Emily toward the pit. The ground split. The hole widened. The keeper reached. Its fingers brushed my shoulder. My reflection smiled. Emily whispered, "I was supposed to guide them, but I don't want to anymore." She stepped backward, into the pit. The keeper roared. The forest shook. Roots tore free. Trees collapsed. The road cracked. Margaret grabbed my arm. "Run!" We ran. The cult scattered. The altar collapsed. The pit swallowed itself. The forest screamed, then went silent. We reached the pickup. The engine started. The road behind us split open. The trees leaned inward. The forest tried to close. We hit the gas. The highway crumbled. Mile marker 113 snapped in half. The road sank. The forest swallowed it. The black road collapsed into the earth. By sunrise, it was gone. No highway, no clearing, no pit. Just forest, just snow, just silence. They blamed a landslide. They always do. Highway 87 is closed now, permanently. Margaret vanished. They say she moved south. Sometimes I think she became part of the forest. I don't drive anymore. I don't sleep well. But the dreams are gone. Sometimes I see her, on safe roads, in warm places, standing on the shoulder, smiling, not asking for help, just watching, free. They say roads remember. I believe that. Because when I pass mile marker 113, there's nothing there anymore. But my mirrors still fog up. And sometimes I see headlights in the trees, waiting.